We are live, we are recording, we are up and running. You are here at the Sacred Relationship Lab with moi, Joanne Webb, the happiness hustler, and him, Stacy Taylor, men's coach. And we are here to talk all things relationships. How are you doing, Stacy?
Yeah, good. Really good, Joanne. What about you?
Very, very good. Always good on a Tuesday afternoon. Always look forward to these chats.
Yeah,
I
me too.
never know where we're going to go, although I have got two nice questions, and I believe you've got one. So I'm looking forward to where the listeners take us today.
It is neat, to be able to even just have these questions asked as a coach because it makes you look at your own self. There's always growth and expansion. So thank you to the people that actually ask these questions and put them out there, put themselves out there to get some answers that they may not have been able to find on their own.
Shall I dive in with one of mine?
Yeah, let's go.
First one is I don't feel like I have a good relationship with myself. How can I improve it?
Beautiful. That's a beautiful question to be asking yourself and to put out into this container. The relationship with ourselves is not so much about becoming someone, it's about unbecoming all of the things that you've had to put up as a way to survive in this world. So, the first and most important place I keep harping on about this is find someone who can help you to start investigating what's in the way of your natural frequency, which is love. What have you had to put up? What walls have you had to put around your heart as a young child in order to survive that are no longer serving you? Because the ego will make us think that we can get love or get self-love, but it's actually our natural frequency. We can only create lack, limitation, and fear in front of that as a way of surviving. So, start to find someone you can trust or you feel drawn to help you start dismantling those things that no longer serve you. And once you dismantle them, break them down, go through the grieving process, the natural state of that is self-love, is love. So
Yeah,
it's that simple, really.
I know. It's about unbecoming and remembering who we once were, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I did a big workshop this morning about how love is a frequency. It is just love. And I say to my clients when they come to me and they look, like, I don't love myself, or life is shitty, or I hate my life, whatever. And it always stems down to the same stuff. How are you feeling about it? What is the relationship like with yourself? Because this is called the Sacred Relationship Lab. And at the end of the day, the first and most important relationship is this one, the one with ourselves, isn't it? And it's like, if you choose right this very second, right now, that you are going to be totally 100% in love with yourself and be your own best friend, it's like flicking on a switch. It doesn't mean that that voice doesn't come into your head at times, because we're never fully healed. We don't change persona. We've still got everything inside of us, like you just said, all your programming, your conditioning, how you were brought up, the thoughts about yourself. But you can, over time, come back to remembering. And once you just make that decision, make that commitment to yourself to go, fuck it, I'm just going to love myself. It's like jumping timelines, doing, well, I have to heal, I have to do this, I have to do that. All of that does play a big part of it, don't get me wrong, because we're conditioned humans. But if you just make that decision, that commitment to yourself, that that's where it's going to be, whenever all the BS comes into your head, which is from the programming, which is from the conditioning, which is from the chinks of life on your heart, you choose to either address them or tell them that they're wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
You make the decision, and then when that self-sabotage comes in, you go, self-sabotage, you are just all patterning. And then you can go down to the nitty-gritty and find out where it came from and why it was all torn apart. Absolutely, all of it's important. The investigative journey along the way. But the most important thing, I think, for me, is making that commitment with yourself.
Yeah, and I think in that commitment, you'll take action. I'll just share a little story from the session. I literally just got off with this incredible woman. And so I took her into this process, and in this process, I asked her what her greatest fear was. And as she just breathed in the silence, she goes, love. And then she had this puzzled look on her face. And then within 30 seconds, she was back in her car with her father smashing her head against the window. So think about this. If you as a child learned that love is painful, you're not going to want to experience love. You know, when we broke it down, her template of love was hurt and pain. So that's what she was unconsciously recreating. While her ego was saying, all I want is someone to love me and to be gentle with me and to show me respect. And she couldn't get it. And this is why I say you've got to go in and figure out what that template is. What is your template of love that you formed in your childhood that no longer serves you? Dissolve it. And like Joanne said, make a commitment to, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I don't know how, but I'm going to, commit. And that's the key, like, because I said to this lady, she said, oh, the fear was a fear of being exposed for her anger, which was the anger of her father. But I said, isn't it interesting that you reached out to me, you asked about my session, I sent you the info, you paid and jumped on. So you already actually trusted yourself to find the answers. So, the fear, the actual first step is just going towards that which you fear. Right? And that can be just reaching out to the coach to actually be exposed on the unconscious bias, because that part of you believes you're going to die if you share this stuff with Joanne or myself or some other person. And that's where your liberation comes, because you go, holy shit, my conscious mind, my ego is saying I want love, but I don't want no bar of it because it hurts. So I keep recreating the hurt. So just go dig a little deeper, find someone you feel called to work with, and allow yourself to be seen and expose those unconscious lies. And that's where you'll find the freedom.
And when you start this work, it's like being in Alice in Wonderland in a way, isn't it? Because you go, 1 minute you're big, next minute you're small, next minute you're going down a loop hole, next minute you're talking to somebody and you're in a crazy scenario. And you have these weird realizations that you would never have picked up yourself. And it just takes that little bit of inquiry and that little bit of safe space to find these answers, which is just incredible. But how can I improve my relationship with myself? Well, ask yourself the question, do you want to love yourself? Do you want to get there? Are you ready for this commitment? Are you ready for this commitment? Because it's a lifelong commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. And take action.
Yeah, and do things nice for yourself, actually find out who the hell you are and what you want and what's important to you, and have a look at the words that you're using on yourself. Are you speaking kindly? Do you look at yourself with eyes of compassion? Have you ever forgiven yourself for any of the stuff, or are you carrying buckets of shame and guilt? Just have a little look at those and think, and if you think, I'm carrying some real serious heavy rocks here, go and find somebody who can help you obliterate them.
Yeah, blow them up. And something Joanne said there's the journey of healing is just levels of awareness, making the unconscious conscious. And there's only so much bandwidth that you have available at each level. I just went through an experience over the last week where I had to make some really tough decisions in my life. And then all of a sudden, the expansion of awareness, because I faced the pain that I was unconsciously avoiding facing, it was like I just leaped up to this new level. And I'm like, wow. And everything was just being seen in the truth of what it really is. And so, it's really just face the fear of, what are you afraid of being exposed on the journey of returning to love?
Yep. But thank you for asking the question, because, there's a lot of people out there who have poor relationships with themselves. And why do we think the word self-love happens? Self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, self-honor, self-care. They all start with self. So if we can make any relationship sacred, it's this one first. So thank you for that lovely question.
Yeah. And that's really the only relationship you're in. Is the relationship to yourself, and it's mirrored back to you in the world. Focus on yourself and watch your external reality shift. Trust me. Trust me.
Go on then, hit us with your question, Stacy.
Yep. So I got one about relationships and work dynamics with boss.
Oh, yay.
So I had a lady reach out to me and say she's noticed a pattern that over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, every sort of 12 months, her boss sort of turns on her, and then she wants to get out, and usually she'll quit the job and go to the next one, and she wants to know, why is this continually happening, because she can see the pattern now.
So it all goes well at the beginning, the job's all fine and rosy, and then something kicks in and the boss seems to turn around.
Yeah.
Well, is that the relationship with yourself?
100%.
Do you change scenarios and you feel all good for a moment and then all of a sudden you don't? Because as I love your line, Stacy, what you frequently, frequency is what you frequently see. So where in your life are you expecting that to happen?
Yeah.
Where in your life is this repeating? What thought patterns in your head are there? Because it's an attraction thing. We attract this stuff. We want it. And it's why it's happening, why it keeps happening over and over again. It's just packaged slightly different. Your office might look slightly different, or the boss might be a man, the boss might be a woman. Doesn't matter. It's happening because we repeat the same cycles, and the world gives us the opportunity over and over and over again to be exposed, for this to be exposed within us. It's this healing, as we were just talking about. There's something in you that is so desperately now wanting to be able, because you've asked this question now, you're ready for the answers.
100%. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful answer. That's it. So straight away when I heard this question is, okay, I jump into a new job. I can be a people pleaser. There's no expectations on me. I go along, and then I'll reach a certain level where I feel like I can be exposed and my frequency will change. And now the boss that was my greatest cheerleader, or my, best friend, or the best person in the world to work for, has now turned against me. And now I want to escape, and it will literally go back to a childhood program of people pleasing. And the minute you feel love and you feel acceptance and you feel like you've got the connection, it will trigger that unconscious wound and the survival pattern, which is I'll close down, and then that'll be mirrored back to me in my reality. Go look deeper. It's nothing to do with your boss, like Joanne said. Once it's a pattern, it's not a coincidence, right? Because everything in the universe is pattern. And so once we can start to see the pattern, what is the pattern trying to reveal to you about yourself, of where you're not free in your own psychology and your own psyche? So go and look at that, dissolve that, and your external frequency will change, because you won't actually be afraid of being seen and being successful, because that's really what the greatest fear is. The more successful I am, the more seen I can be. The more seen I can be, the more chance of being exposed. Being exposed, cast out of the tribe. This is how primal our brains are. So go look at yourself, and I think you'll find some real beautiful answers, not just in that area of your life, but probably other areas of your life too.
Yeah, I'll give an example, because it's very similar. Like I've just wrote a post on it today about how in every relationship in my life over the years, I had my first boyfriend at 14, and then you learn a few things along the way, and then talk about like late teens, and you start thinking, I want this relationship to be great. I'm gonna only get what I deserve. I'm not gonna settle for any shit. And then over time, you realize you've lost yourself. You're settling for shit, and your standards have dropped. But you make this promise to yourself at the beginning. Like you might make the promise to yourself that this is going to be the job where I'm not going to get bullied by the boss. Same thing. Doesn't matter what relationship it is. And then I used to do this thing over and over again. And then I'd realize I'd let my standards drop. I was losing myself. I was overgiving. I was trying to solve every problem within the relationship. I was so desperate to make it work, because I so desperately wanted this loving unit and family and everything. And it was all down to me. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe I was worthy of it, really, even though I said, I deserve this. Up here, we know we deserve stuff. It's common sense. No, I don't deserve to be spoken to like crap. No, I don't deserve to be spoken to and belittled in front of people. Of course, we know that. But if our underlying feeling is we're not worthy or we're not enough, we end up settling for so much shit. And it's like the frog being in the water. If you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. But in any relationship, you're just this little frog, and the heat's going up and up and up, and it gets more and more uncomfortable. But you're just sitting in it because it's quite warm. You've mellowed out until you realize it's breaking point. And it has to be something that highlights that breaking point. So yours is your boss doing a 180, and you're like, whoa, things have changed here. Mine was, I'm in despair in my relationship and I need to leave. So I'd leave. And then I'd get a new relationship. And it would all happen again, but it just looks slightly different. But it's actually all exactly the fucking same, until you go, nope, I'm going to heal that root. I'm going to heal and then a new plant's going to grow. We're going to plant a new seed, and a new plant's going to grow. And it's all the inner work, and it's all delightful, and it's all worth it.
Yep. That's what you said there in a nutshell, is everything that we've been talking about. I said it earlier, you're not in a relationship with anyone else. Life is literally a mirror of your internal frequency.
Mm.
And when you can really start to play this game and you go, fuck, that person didn't do anything to me that I'm not already doing to myself. What's going on in there? Where did that come from? Go to work with someone to work in the blind spots of that, because the ego works in negation. So if I'm saying I don't deserve to be talked to and treated like this, the opposite of that is true. The root core belief is I deserve to be treated and, you know, for this to be happening to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the ego is the trickster. Whatever the mind is telling you, look at the opposite and you'll find your shadow need, and then you'll find that that's what's actually playing out in your life, which is exactly the same way you felt as a child.
Yeah, here.
100% of the time.
Mm-hmm. And it won't have been conscious most of the time, but it's just an inner feeling, because we're all frequency. And as you say, we're picking up all of these energies and nuances around us, and we just absorb it. We're like the sponge that just absorbs it all. And then as we get older, we need to wring that sponge and let it all go again.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Let it go. But we wish you well. And if you take some time, I bet you your next job, this won't happen.
Yeah.
I can guarantee this will never happen again, because your standards will be higher and you will not be settling for this, and you won't be looking out in the world expecting it to happen. So you will go out in the world with a different vision, a different perspective, a different set of boundaries, a different energy, and that will all come back to you in bucket loads.
Yeah. Beautiful, Joey.
One more question. How do I know if I should stay or if I should go?
Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. The first question is, why do you want to go? That's the first question to ask yourself. And then, why are you staying? And then at a deeper level, what is it that you don't want to experience anymore? Or what is it that you want to experience what is it that you want to experience? Because this is something I've really become very intimate with over the last little while, is often we don't want the relationship to end, but we want the version of us that we've become in order to survive to end. So like Joanne said, often you'll leave this relationship and you'll move on. I'm running a workshop tonight on this because so many people have been reaching out going, fuck, I thought I learned the lesson, and fuck, I'm in the new relationship and it's happened in 3 or 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't get the lesson and you just leave, well, you're just going to carry on. But that doesn't mean, I'm not saying just stay, because of it. Sometimes the lesson is to leave. This is the subtlety. And this is why you really need to work with someone to be able to expose what it is that you can't see, right? The reason the ego throws up choices is then, fuck, no, I'm going to leave. No, I'm going to stay. No, I'm going to leave. No, I'm going to stay. Well, your relationship is never going to thrive because you've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out unconsciously. And then you're wanting that person to show up for you, but you're not showing up for yourself. Right? So you've got to start to look at what's actually stopping me fully committing here, going all in. What's my fear that's stopping that? What's the experiences that are holding me back from going all in, or choosing myself and stepping up? And that's really where it comes down to. And you won't find this on your own. Very rarely. We all know everybody else's shit. Like, you can see what someone else is doing, and if they asked you what to do, you can tell them, fuck, do this, do this, do this, and your life will be good. And they'll go and do the complete opposite, right? Because what you need to see is in the blind spot. But you gave yourself a very powerful clue. Is there's 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and that will be exactly the way your relationship feels. You'll feel like you're not getting your needs met. The person's not committed, but you're actually not fully committed because you don't know whether you want to stay or go. So it's really about investigating what is stopping me from going all in or jumping out fully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in this world, like we do have so many options, don't we? Like, once upon a time, we didn't have so many options, and we think the grass is greener. But at the end of the day, the grass is always greener where you actually water it. Now, I'm not saying if there's in total irreconcilable differences between you and your partner, then there's two to tango. There's two in the relationship. But every relationship, well, everything in life waters most when you water it. It grows better, when you water it. So, as you go and do all the investigative stuff, what Stacey's just said, absolutely. And also have a look, have a notice, are you in some like addictive patterns within your relationship? Because lots of people have these addictive patterns where they make up and it all feels so rosy and they're so in love and it feels all butterfly again. You might have mad passionate sex. Why did they call it makeup sex? Because that's what happens, and then it feels great and you feel really connected and close, and you kind of feel like you're walking around on this cloud and it's dreamy. And next minute he does something or she does something to piss you off. And all of a sudden it's like, and then you try and work it out, and then something else happens and it just piles on top and it piles on top and it piles on top until you're having a full-on row, and then it all goes round again.
Yeah.
And we have these addictive patterns, but again, you'd have a addictive pattern because you're trying to prove something from childhood. And to break these addictive patterns, it all takes the inner work. But ask yourself, am I in love with this person as they are? Can I love this person exactly as they are if they never ever change? And can I live with that? Because most people are in love with a past version or a possible version that we know. We can see the best in people. And we go, gosh, if you just did this, as Stacey says, we see everybody else's shit. We also see the best in people. If you just put your mind to it, you could do this and just do that. But if you can't love them just as they are, if it's not vibing with you, it's never going to vibe with you, because people will only change when they want to change.
And there was something powerful in the way you asked the question and I think it's something that a lot of people unconsciously use as a way to not fully commit, which is really a way of not fully being seen and potentially not being hurt the way they were as a child, is that when you can have that 1 foot in and 1 foot out, it's like, okay, I'm close enough that I'm not going to lose the love or the person, but I'm also far enough away that I'm not going to get hurt if I decide to leave or they decide to leave me, or I put myself out there and I'm not met with what I want to be. So you've really actually revealed to yourself what you're doing, which is being mirrored back in the relationship, is shit, I'm not fully in, I'm not fully out. But part of you will be saying, shit, I want this in the relationship, or I want this to end. Look at yourself and resolve it. And then you'll go, holy shit, my partner wasn't actually doing anything to me. I was actually doing it to myself. Or you'll go, oh, wow, shit, I'm no longer available for this. And it'll be a simple but not an easy decision to walk away.
Definitely. And as you said, you mentioned something about the story you were telling earlier about the lady who, her fear was love. I always get clients to face their biggest fears. It's a really powerful thing to do. So see what your fear is about this. Is it your fear of being alone? Is that why you're in the relationship? Is your fear of not being loved for all that you are? Is your fear that you won't find somebody else? Is your fear that this person can't give you the commitment you want? There's a million billion fears that could be around this as well. It's another place to ask yourself a question. What's my biggest fear about this decision? Or what's my biggest fear within the relationship or not in the relationship? Face your fears head on, because we have these things that scare us. And one of the most powerful things we do is face them, because when we actually face our fear, when we stand there and we look at it head on and we go, can I survive that? Like, say if you wanted to leave the relationship, but you're frightened of being on your own. Can you survive being on your own? Well, people always go to people. I've never heard anybody say no, that they can't survive their biggest fear ever. And I've had some pretty horrific things talked about in sessions. Can you survive that? Can you actually physically and mentally survive that and get through it? Yeah. Okay. So there, all of a sudden, your fear is no longer got that rip roaring hold over you that it once had, because you've just faced it. It's like facing the demon in the horror movies. It kind of loses its power.
Yeah. Yeah. Language is really powerful. Like when I work with clients, they'll say, oh, I feel like I've lost my partner, or I've lost my husband, or I've lost my marriage. That's very primal, because if you've lost something, there's a part of you that feels abandoned and alone and feels like you need to get it back. This is how primal we are. Like Joanne said, when you break it down, okay, no, he left or she left. It hurts, but am I okay? Have I got a roof over my head? Have I got support? Have I got food? And can I get through this? Yes. And as you start to break down the fears, this is why relationships are so potent in the beginning, because our fears drop away and we just love. And then we go along and something triggers that fear, and now we're trying not to lose the very thing that we were getting naturally through being the love, which is it being mirrored back to us. So this is where the work comes in, is that you start to dissolve it and you go, holy shit, I didn't want another partner. I just wanted the version of me that I'd become that was actually operating out of fear to end, which has allowed the relationship to open up to love. And now I'm fucking more than happy because I realize it's nothing to do with that individual. Now, it's co-creation of the relationship. And but as you know yourself, Bruce Lee said, to know thyself is to know others. Once you know yourself, you'll know what you need to do for yourself and you won't be afraid to do it.
Ooh, they are juicy questions.
Wow, that was a good one.
Yeah. And on the last one, ask yourself rather than everybody else as well, because, everybody's got an opinion on all of this stuff, haven't they? So ask yourself first and foremost, what lies right with you, and see how it feels when you ask yourself the question. See how it feels before your mind takes over. Do you feel excited to leave? Do you feel excited to stay? Do you feel terrified? What feeling comes up for you? Because that's one of your biggest indicators.
Yeah, and even when people come to work with me, they're looking for me to give them an answer, whether they should leave or stay.
Yeah.
I never do.
No, you can't.
I never do. Because the minute I say leave, you're going to be that teenager who says, fuck you, I'm not leaving, and dig your heels in anyway, right?
Yeah. Nobody likes to be told what to do.
You know what to do. You just don't want to make the decision. Or there's something that you need to look at deeper that you just maybe don't have the ability to look at deeper, right? Often when you're staying, it's because your soul's saying, hey, there's something for you to learn here. We're bringing this pattern around, like Joanne said, and you're missing the cues. Well, who could you work with to maybe shine that mirror into that blind spot that will give you that insight that you've been looking for, that dissolves that part of you that no longer allows that to show up in the relationship you're in?
And that's why we've got to be thankful for all of our relationships, isn't it? Because they're all there, as you keep saying it, Stacey, over and over again, everything is a mirror. So even like the most annoying person in your family or whatever, everything is to be grateful for, because everybody is there to highlight something within you that can either be exposed or worked on or healed or improved or soothed. There's always a reason. So that's why I love relationships, because, and not just with people, but the world is one big relationship, isn't it? Just anything that makes you feel joy or irks you or annoys you, it's all there showing you something.
Yeah, if people could just get this one lesson, that relationships aren't for you to get anything from, they are containers for your growth and healing. They are Disney and all the romantic movies and music have made us think that relationships we're meant to find the one and they're meant to give us everything that we need. But relationships are your mirror for your growth. Now I'm talking about, like Joanne said, everything is a relationship based on the relationship in your internal structures. Money, relationships, health. They're all mirroring back to you the same message, just through a different vehicle. And once you can start to work through this, man, you can shift your reality in ways you can't even imagine. And it's scary, but think about anything in your life that was worth doing. It was always scary in the beginning. And on the other side of it, I share this with my clients. Someone said, why do we go through all this shit? And I said, well, imagine if you sat down to watch that incredible sporting movie with the American football star or the musician who just started winning from the beginning. There was no trials, there was no tribulations, there was no challenge. You'd be like, this sucks.
It's boring.
And you'd turn it off or you'd fall asleep on the couch. Well, your life's the same. You can't know the highest highs if you didn't know the lowest lows.
No.
But because you're in the low, you have just forgotten that you're in the part of the movie where the hero has to do the work. You're in your own movie.
Yeah, and you might as well be the star of the show.
Yeah. Because you're in the low doesn't mean, it's usually when it's darkest as you're actually getting closest to the breakthrough that's going to give you the story that you can impact others with potentially.
And when you're in that dark bit, remember plants don't grow without being stuck in soil. And a lot is happening underneath the soil until they go, and that's when the bloom happens and you see the light and it all just becomes a little bit more, you know, hopeful. But there is, in that darkness, there's a hell of a lot of stuff happening. And that's where we have our biggest, most powerful growth.
Yeah, and we need comparison to be able to understand life.
Mm.
You know, left, right, up, down, hot, cold.
Yeah,
Dark,
everything's got an
light.
opposite. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It's like a negative
Otherwise,
and a positive. The whole earth would just crumble and there'd be nothing. There has to work on polarity.
yeah. So go towards the storm and watch your life grow.
Mm. I love it. I love it. We will be back next week. Please keep sending in your questions. And thank you so much. We're loving it. And we're coming out with a workshop soon. So watch the space.
Definitely.
Very excited about that. And I hope your thing goes well tonight, Stacy. I hope you help lots of people in their relationships. And we will catch up again next week.
See you next week, guys.